All right, so welcome to today's webinar on online booking. My name is Teresa Irving. I'm a customer advocate here with OWL. I'm dedicated to supporting you with your general inquiries about OWL, providing interactive training when needed, and just ensuring that you're getting the most out of your OWL experience. I appreciate you taking the time out to attend today's webinar. Our online booking feature has been around for a while, but we want to make sure you know how to make the most out of it. Online booking gives your clients the ability to book in sessions at their convenience based on the availability parameters you set, saving you that extra administrative work and letting the clients have flexibility. Today we're going to be reviewing online booking together, and we'll wrap up the session with a brief Q&A period at the end. The session is approximately 20 minutes long, and we are recording today's session so we can send everyone a copy afterwards. You will be muted for the duration of today's webinar, but there is a chat feature in GoToMeeting where Hillary, our customer advocate, is available to answer any of your questions during the session. If you can't stay for the Q&A portion at the end, please be sure to email us anytime at support@owlpractice.ca for any follow-up questions. Our team is always happy to help. Our agenda for today will be a general overview of online booking, your initial settings and setup, your therapist profile, therapist availability, service availability, the client experience of booking, and that Q&A portion at the end. So OWL's online booking feature is a user-friendly client scheduling solution. Using online booking allows your clients to book sessions at their convenience based on your availability. And as with all of OWL's features, online booking is hosted on OWL's secure and compliant servers, as their first priority is keeping all the practice data you entrust with OWL safe and secure. Please also note that online booking is part of our client portal package and is only available on our Plus or Premium subscriptions. If you're interested in upgrading, please be sure to reach out anytime at support@owlpractice.ca. Today we'll cover online booking options in a more general sense, but if you find that you're running into any specific issues, getting booking to appear to your preferences, please reach out to our support team as well, as we'd be happy to work through things individually with you. If you have more general questions about online booking, please feel free to let us know during the Q&A period at the end or in the chat function as well. All right, we're now going to head into OWL to explore our online booking feature together. All right, so to begin, we will look at the overall settings for the online booking feature. If you're part of a group practice, please note that the options you select here will apply to the whole practice, and only owners or admins are able to edit those settings. So to start, we can look at our settings, client portal section here. All right, in your settings client portal, you'll first see your option to disable online booking. If you would like to disable online booking, you can say yes, but if you do intend on using the feature, just be sure to set this to no, and that'll enable the rest of the booking related options for you. All right, so next we can see the option to limit the number of sessions a client can book. Right now we have no limit, but for example, if maybe a client should only book up to 3 sessions in a day or 3 sessions in advance, we can add that limitation here for them as well. With minimum cancellation time, we can specify the amount of notice that determines a regular cancellation from a late cancellation. If we had a 24-hour notice policy in place, we can set that to apply here. And that way, when a client chooses to cancel an appointment, if it's going to be late, a warning will apply to let them know that charges could apply. If you don't want clients to be able to cancel from the portal at all, please note there's also a setting for this just further down for allow clients to cancel booked sessions. We also have clients cannot book sooner than, And that allows you to determine how much time in advance you need before a client can fit themselves in. If I know I won't be prepared for a same-day booking, for example, I can set at least 24 hours notice to be required. An important option as well is the Allow Clients to Create Account. If you want to open your booking page up to the public and have new prospective clients sign themselves up, you can give the clients the option to create their own account. If your practice is already very full and you need to maintain a little more control, you can choose to restrict this and just grant access to your clients as needed. Show Prices simply allows you to either display or hide the prices next to each of your services on the booking page. And the Booking Question Order allows you to determine what order these options should appear while the client goes through the book process. For example, if I want the client to choose location and then therapist, I can move these around to my preference. Whenever you make changes to your settings here, just be sure to use the Save button at the bottom so those changes go through. The remaining settings available on this page are applicable to the client portal as a whole rather than to specifically online booking. So we will not go over them in depth now, but if you have any questions about any of the other options or the rest of the client portal, feel free to reach out to us anytime. So our next step for online booking is to go into our settings, therapist, and edit our profile. Whether you're a solo practitioner or part of a group practice, you can edit your own profile. Simply click the checkbox next to your name and click the Edit button here at the top. We're going to scroll down until we find the Client Portal subheading. If you don't want to use the Client Portal and don't want to appear there, you would just say no here. But if we do want to set ourselves up for online booking, we'll want to make sure this is set to yes. Next, you can also do extra items like uploading a profile picture if you'd like, a bit of an about me, just to add some extra information for the clients to see. And further down, this is where we begin to customize our availability. The first one you'll see here is Set Your Session Timing Settings. We have two options here. The first is to session start on a specific minute. This is a great option if you always want to start on the hour or always on the half an hour, for example. You would just set that up here. If you have more flexibility in your start time, you can instead choose breaks between your sessions, which will always enforce a certain length of break between your sessions to give you that extra space. If your clinic has multiple locations set up, you'll notice you can also decide which locations you should be available for. And a new option we've set here as well is to receive appointment confirmations for those portal sessions. Especially for group clinics, you can have these email confirmations come through to the clinic's email address, or you can choose to send them to yourself or have them sent not at all. The last option here is client types available to book, and this is specific to group practices. If you want to be accessible to anyone in the clinic, you can choose all clients, or for more restrictiveness, you can always set this to only existing clients can book with you, or even have it just so only those clients already assigned to you can book with you. All right, once again, if you do ever make changes, be sure to click Update Therapist here. And next we're going to define our actual work schedule and hours. So here in the same section, this time we're just going to click Availability instead. And this is going to take us to our General tab, where we can set our usual working hours for each week. This can also be set per each individual location if your office offers more than one location. By default, your working hours are going to be set to Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but this can easily be customized to whatever your normal work week looks like. For example, maybe I don't work Fridays, So I can just click into this Friday slot and remove it entirely. Or maybe on Mondays, I usually work extended hours. So I'll click on my Monday slot and just add that extra time in. This section is completely customizable to work to whatever your normal working week looks like, whether that's large chunks of time where clients can fit themselves in anytime, or for even more control, you could always set up specific slots to better meet what you're looking to do. We also offer a specific availability tab, and this is great for temporary changes to your usual schedule. So for example, if I'm taking a week's vacation, I would not want clients to be able to book in that specific date range. So I'll click the first date that I'm going to be away, set up a recurrence for each day of that week, from Monday to the Friday, and I'm just going to remove those slots so that clients won't see them as options. Another important note here is regardless of what you set as your availability, you always have the option to override that availability when you book for yourself. It's only when clients go to book that they won't be able to override what you've set here. All right, so next we're going to take a look at our services and fees to look at how we can set up each service's availability. Each service type you have in your practice can be enabled for the online portal just by checking the box and using that Allow on Portal. You'll notice there's a few different options available here. So you can set this to be available for all clients, where the service will appear to anyone on the client portal. Existing clients, where only those with a validated associated client portal account will be able to see the service. New clients, where the service is only visible to new clients who have not yet been validated or associated. This is really great for initial contact or consultation type services. And finally, the Not Allowed allows you to set a service not to show up on client portal at all, though you can still always book this service type internally from your own end. If we edit one of our services, you'll also notice that each service has its own availability too. For example, if you only offer this service type on Mondays, we can always remove all the other days to make sure clients can't book it outside of Monday. If, for example, we had a service too that maybe was only available up until 3 p.m., even though I might work until 5 p.m., I can set that limitation up here as well. All right, once you've set that up for all of your applicable services, the next step we can take a look at is the actual client's experience. So the first thing to explore is a client needs a way to find your client portal link or the URL. So this might be something that you choose to embed on your existing website. Maybe it's something you choose to send to clients as an as-needed basis. Or you can even set your account so that the link is always included on your emails from OWL, so they can find the link in things like their reminders, their receipts, anything that comes from us. So if we head to our settings client portal, we can see where that link is. We're going to use the Book Now link specifically and just click once to copy that address and open it up in a new tab to see what the client would see when they visit. This is where everything you'd set up so far comes together for the client. Based on everything you set, the client can now choose a location if you have more than one location, the service type they're looking to book, and for group clinics, the therapist they're looking to book with as well. Once I've selected all of my options, The calendar will let the client know when the next available date is, or they can always choose any date from the calendar and see what openings are available on that date. It's important to note as well that any times where the therapist is set to be unavailable or is already booked for a personal, unavailable, or client session, those time slots won't appear here. It's not going to tell the client why you're not available at that time or what you're already booked for. Those time slots are simply not going to show up. When the client finds a time that they'd like, they can go ahead and click that book option here to confirm their booking. All right, when we go to confirm, to finalize that booking, the client does need to log into your client portal first. If your client already has a client portal account, maybe they've already done some video sessions with you, used our secure messaging, or any of the other client portal features, they can always just log in right away. If they don't have a client portal account yet, and you have set it so that clients can make a new account, they'll see the Create Account button, so they can go through the process there. Or if they don't have an account and you've set it so clients can't make a new account, this will instead direct them to email you directly so they can contact you, as they won't be able to confirm a booking just yet. I'm just going to sign in as one of my example clients. And now that I've signed in, that booking's been confirmed for me as well. Another thing to note is the client does receive a confirmation email to confirm that they have booked for that date and time. And based on that setting you picked back in your profile, either the clinic or yourself can get a confirmation email as well. If the client now heads to their My Account tab, they can also find the full list of their upcoming and past sessions. And for upcoming sessions, if you've enabled the option for them to cancel those, this is where they'd be able to do so. And that cancellation automatically comes through on your end as well, so you won't need to manually make any changes. That time slot becomes opened up again for new clients to book in. All right. So thanks again, everyone, for taking the time out for today's webinar just to cover the basics of your online booking. I hope this has been helpful and informative, but please note you can always also review our FAQ page on the online booking section to familiarize yourself further. Ask us any questions or feedback at support@owlpractice.ca, and there will be a recording of today's session which you can review anytime as well. For anyone who's interested, please stay on the line as we will be starting our Q&A portion. If anyone does have to go now, thank you again for taking the time out, and you will be sent a recording so you can review the Q&A later. All right, I see there's already been a few questions so far, so I'm just going to go through and review, or if you do have any questions you haven't asked yet, feel free to type them into the chat feature now. All right, Simone had asked about if your client's schedule changes every week, so you don't know necessarily what your schedule is going to look like. What you can do instead of setting your general hours, as that might not apply for yourself, you can go into your availability, remove all of your general availability, and instead use specific to just add in new hours as you know them. So once I know what this week looks like, I can add in the specific times I know I'll be working, and so on for as far in advance as I need, so there won't be any general times that are always available. Victoria had asked as well if there's a way to limit how many clients can book in without restricting the overall hours. So Victoria, that's a very common request we get, and please note that we are always making updates and continuously improving on our offering here. So if you have any recommendations or feedback, like the option to have a capped sessions per day, we're always interested in that feedback, and hopefully that's something we can add into our system soon. Abigail asked a great question as well. So Abigail was asking if I'm going back and forth between online and in-person sessions, and I need time between those as I do them in two different places, how can I set this up? So Abigail, that's a great question, and there are two sort of ways you could explore doing that. The first is to have two separate locations. So if you had a location that was called in-office and one that was called offline or online, you could have each of those locations have specific availability hours that don't overlap with one another. So the client has to choose the location and only get the option to book during the times that you're there. If you still want to leave it all as one location and keep one centralized calendar, what you could do instead is set this up as two different services. And again, as we saw with the service availability, if your in-person bookings are only set to be available 9 to 12, for example, and then your in-person or online is booked 12 until 5, that can help you separate those options out as well. All right, Abigail also had asked us about the financial documents on the client portal page when the client was looking at My Account. Yeah, so this is a feature tied to the overall client portal, regardless of if you're interested in the online booking or not. You can enable financial documents for the clients to view if you want them to download their own copies, or you can remove this option and just send the receipts out to the client as needed. Jenny had asked how new clients would access this booking system. That's a really important question too, Jenny. Again, there are several ways you could make this option known to your client base or to potential clients. If you already have your own marketing website, for example, or professional website, you might add the link to that page and say, click here to book now, or make a little button out of it, however you see fit to attract new potential customers. We also have our own platform called Therapy Owl, where you can promote yourself and your practice as well for potential clients looking to find someone in their area and in the mental health space that they need. So if you want to know more about Therapy Owl as well, again, feel free to reach out anytime to our support team. We'd be happy to direct you. All right, Adam had asked if a brand new client accesses the portal and books an appointment, are they made aware of the cancellation policy? For example, if they will be charged without sufficient notice? Adam, that's a great question too. They won't get a notice up front, but if they do try to cancel on a session, and that session is within the amount of notice that you've said becomes a late cancellation, this window that pops up will have a warning that says this is a late cancellation and fees may apply before allowing them to confirm. And an additional space you might make use of too on your client portal is the home page. The home page is an optional feature that you can enable as well that you can completely write up and customize yourself. So this might be a great place to store the cancellation policy to make it very visible as well. Simone had asked, do we still need to mark the client arrived and send receipts, or is this automatic with online bookings? That's a great question too, Simone. So when a client books through the online system, that session is then back in your OWL calendar, just like all the other sessions you might have had before that you booked yourself. So from that point forward, you can treat it just the same as any other session, going through the attendance, the billing, the note taking. Everything is built in just the same as your normal appointments in OWL. Courtney had asked if we can limit clients from accessing certain locations. So, Courtney, we can't allow certain clients to be enabled or disabled per location, but as we saw earlier with the therapist and with the services themselves, each therapist and each service can be enabled for a certain location and not for others. So, for example, if I only want to be available at my Toronto office, but no one should be able to book me at Ottawa, I can turn that off to my preference. Right, Carl asked, I'm new to OWL. Where would I find the link to send clients so that they can book a session? For sure, Carl. So that's again just back in your settings client portal page. On the right here, you can see your client portal links, which you can copy and share with your clients anytime. The one I used today was the book now, as that'll take them straight to the booking page. But you can also direct them to the home page, for example, if you want them to land there first. Or if you're exploring the secure messaging, you can share the link directly to that page as well. Jared asked a great question as well. Jared asked, can you change the type of service from what the patient scheduled in the portal themselves? That's a really great question too. So because the client's session does come through just like any other session in your calendar, if we look at November 16th, we can see where Janet had booked herself in for 9 a.m. from the portal. It's going to be treated otherwise just like all of your other sessions. So if I wanted to come back in that session and change any of those details, I can always do so as well. All right. Again, if you haven't gotten your question through today and you wanted to ask us anything further, you can always reach out to support@owlpractice.ca. Myself or another customer advocate is always happy to help. Or if you did have any last questions you wanted to address today in the webinar, please do add them to the chat now, as we will be ending the session shortly. Adam asked about the colors you're seeing on the schedule here. So for group edition, every therapist can actually choose their own color, and that's what will determine what shows up here in the calendar. All right, well, thank you again to everyone who's taken the time out to attend today's webinar. I really appreciate your